In a narration found in Jami at-Tirmidhi, number 2459, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, described the difference between true hope in the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, and wishful thinking. True hope is when one controls their soul by avoiding the disobedience of Allah, the Exalted, and actively struggles for preparing for the hereafter. Whereas, the foolish wishful thinker follows their desires and then expects Allah, the Exalted, to forgive them and fulfill their wishes. It is important for Muslims not to confuse these two attitudes so that they avoid living and dying as a wishful thinker, as this person is highly unlikely to succeed in this world or the next. Wishful thinking is like a farmer who fails to prepare the land for planting, fails to plant seeds, fails to water the land, and then expects to harvest a huge crop. This is plain foolishness, and this farmer is highly unlikely to succeed. Whereas, true hope is like a farmer who prepares the land, plants seeds, waters the land, and then hopes Allah, the Exalted, will bless them with a huge harvest. The key difference is that the one who possesses true hope will actively strive to obey Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And whenever they slip up, they sincerely repent. Whereas, the wishful thinker will not actively strive in obeying Allah, the Exalted, and instead follow their desires and still expect Allah, the Exalted, to forgive them and fulfill their wishes. Muslims must therefore learn the key difference so that they can abandon wishful thinking and instead adopt true hope in Allah, the Exalted, which always leads to nothing except good and success in both worlds. This has been indicated in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 7405. A specific type of wishful thinking which affected the past nations and even the Muslim nation is when a person believes that they can ignore the commands and prohibitions of Allah, the Exalted, and somehow someone on the Day of Judgment will intercede for them and save them from hell. Even though the intercession of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is a fact and has been discussed in many narrations, such as the one found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 4308. Nonetheless, even with his intercession, some Muslims, whose punishment will be reduced by it, will still enter hell. Even a single moment in hell is truly unbearable. So one should abandon wishful thinking, and instead adopt true hope by practically striving in the obedience of Allah, the Exalted. The devil convinces those who do not believe in Judgment Day, that even if it occurs, they will make peace with Allah, the Exalted, on that day by claiming that they were not so bad as they avoided major crimes such as murder. They have convinced themselves that their pleas will be accepted, and they will be sent to paradise, even though they disbelieved in Allah, the Exalted, during their lives on earth. This is incredibly foolish, as Allah, the Exalted, will not treat the person who believed in Him and tried to obey Him like the one who disbelieved in Him. A single verse has erased this type of wishful thinking. Chapter 3 Ali Imran, verse 85.
And whoever desires other than Islam as religion, never will it be accepted from him, and he in the hereafter will be among the losers.
Finally, a Muslim should not adopt wishful thinking by believing that as they are a Muslim, they will enter paradise someday, even if they must enter hell first as a consequence of their sins. No one is guaranteed to leave this world with their faith. The one who abandons sincerely obeying Allah, the Exalted, is in great danger of leaving this world without their faith. It is important to understand that faith is like a plant which must be nourished and taken care of, through the sincere obedience of Allah, the Exalted. When the plant of faith is neglected, it may well die, leaving one with nothing to ensure their success in both worlds. In a long divine narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 7405, Allah, the Exalted, advises that He acts and treats His servant according to their perception of Him. This means if a Muslim has good thoughts and expects good from Allah, the Exalted, He in turn will not disappoint them. Similarly, if a person harbors negative thoughts about Allah, the Exalted, such as believing they will not be forgiven, then Allah, the Exalted, may act according to their belief. It is important to note, there is a vast difference between true hope in Allah, the Exalted, which this narration refers to, and wishful thinking. Wishful thinking is when one fails to strive in the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling his commands, refraining from his prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, thereby misusing the blessings they have been granted, and still expects Allah, the Exalted, to forgive them and grant them mercy in both worlds. This is not true hope, it is merely wishful thinking. This is like a farmer who fails to plant any seeds, fails to water their crop, and still hopes to reap a large harvest. True hope is when one strives to obey Allah, the Exalted, and whenever they slip up, they sincerely repent and then hope for the mercy and forgiveness of Allah, the Exalted. This is like a farmer who plants seeds, waters their crop, dedicates effort to keeping the crop healthy, and then hopes for a large harvest. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has summarized this explanation in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmizi, number 2459. Generally speaking, a Muslim should harbor more fear of Allah, the Exalted, during their life, as it prevents sins, which is superior to hope, which inspires one to perform righteous deeds, especially the voluntary type. But during periods of illness and difficulty, and especially at the time of death, a Muslim should have nothing but hope in the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, even if they have spent their life disobeying him, as this has specifically been commanded by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 2877. I had a thought which I wanted to share. I was pondering over a common thing many people do, namely, placing hope in people. The problem with this attitude is that as people are not angels, they are bound to make mistakes and fall short of people's expectations and hopes. In addition, as times change and each person progresses along their own path, which is separate from the path of all others, it will cause them to become preoccupied with their own things, such as their responsibilities. This change often causes them to let down the people who place hope in them, even if they do not mean to do this. Hoping in people who are not perfect will generally lead to disappointment. A common example of this, especially in the Asian community, is when parents place hope in their children. They hope that their children will choose the path in life they advise them to, and hope their children will make taking care of their parents their ultimate priority. Even though children should definitely take care of their parents, as this is their duty, parents should not place their hope in them, as this can often result in disappointment. People should instead fulfill their duties to Allah, the Exalted, and towards people as Allah, the Exalted, has commanded, and then place hope in Allah, the Exalted. A Muslim should never forget that the source of all help is Allah, the Exalted, and the creation are only a means. The source can still help them even without the means they have in mind if he so chooses. But the means by themselves cannot help without the source. If Muslims place their focus and hope on the means, then they will be disappointed. But if they place it on the source, then nothing can prevent them from gaining the support of Allah, the Exalted. So it is important for Muslims to place their hope in the correct place, which must be supported by obedience to Allah, the Exalted, which involves fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. Then they will find the peace of mind and satisfaction they desire in both worlds. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to briefly discuss. It reported on the funeral of a Muslim who openly and persistently committed major sins. Even though there is no doubt that the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, is infinite and can overcome all sins, and giving up hope in the infinite mercy of Allah, the Exalted, is defined as unbelief in chapter 12 Yusuf, verse 87.
Indeed, no one despairs of relief from Allah except the disbelieving people.
Yet, nonetheless, it is extremely important for Muslims to understand a fact. A Muslim has not been guaranteed to leave this world with their faith, meaning, a Muslim is in danger of dying as a non-Muslim. This is the greatest loss. If this happens, it does not take a scholar to conclude where this person will reside in the hereafter. This can occur when a Muslim persists on sins, especially major sins, such as drinking alcohol and failing to offer their obligatory prayers, and reaches their end without sincerely repenting from their sins. This is the reason why Muslims must sincerely repent from all their sins and strive to fulfill all their obligatory duties, as this is a task they can undoubtedly fulfill. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 286.
Allah does not charge a soul, except with that within its capacity.
They should not be fooled into believing they possess hope in the mercy of Allah, the Exalted. As true hope in the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, is supported by obedience to Allah, the Exalted, through actions. This involves fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Failing to do this and then expecting the mercy and forgiveness of Allah, the Exalted, is not hope in His mercy. It is merely wishful thinking, which has no weight or significance in Islam. This has been clearly warned by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2459. I had a thought which I wanted to share. In this world, a person possesses many different hopes and many different fears. As a result, people use the resources they were granted in order to obtain their hopes and avoid their fears. But the strange thing is that on Judgment Day, these fears and hopes will vanish, and no one will give a second thought about them, except for the single fear of hell and hope for paradise. It is this reality that the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, understood, and was a major reason why they lived the way they did. They knew that all one's worldly fears and hopes will be reduced to just one fear and one hope on Judgment Day. So as a result, they made their hopes and fears into one hope and one fear, while they were still living on earth. This ensured they used the worldly blessings and resources they were granted, in order to obtain their single hope of paradise, and to escape their single fear of hell. This allowed them to obtain peace in this world, and in the next. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
This does not mean one should not fear or hope for anything other than paradise and hell. This discussion means all the things they fear and hope for in this world must be rooted in the single fear of hell and hope of paradise. In other words, all of one's fears and hopes must be directly connected to the single fear of hell and single hope for paradise. All other fears and hopes should be discarded, as they are unimportant in this world, even if this is not obvious to a person, as they will be unimportant on Judgment Day. Behaving in this manner will increase one's comfort and peace in this world, and ensure they are adequately prepared for escaping their single fear of hell, and obtaining their single hope for paradise in the hereafter. Over 400 free ebooks, audiobooks, infographics, podcasts and blogs available on our website, www.shakepod.com.